And welcome back to quickticket.com. So this is about the skills which you might have heard on Claude Agentic AI. This session would be again a bit longer, but we'll go in depth and explain each concept. This script seems small, but that is the beauty why it is a small. Okay, so that is what we will discuss in that. So this is, you see, this is not on a skill file itself, correct? This is not on a skill file. Okay, first let's understand, not skill file. Instead, this is an, as you can see, this is a bash script file. If you know shell script or something, so this is what this file it is, correct? We'll discuss line by line each what exactly it is doing. So Bootstrap is a modular skill directly demonstrating progressive disclosure and context isolation. We'll come back on this and in detail we'll discuss it. This script established a project level, okay, project level skill shared via version control. So whatever your project it is, correct, in that this shell script would be committed, and any developer who is checking out, correct, this code, that should get this script file. Even 10 developer are getting it, so in each one would have this script file with them, okay, as part of their code. So that is what it is. And where it would be where this shell script, when it runs, this is bootstrap files run, what it does is actually the skill directory. What would be the skill directory? This is under Claude Skills secure audit folder. In that folder you would create a scripts file. So how it would look like, let me show you. This is what it would look like. If you see here, correct, this is how it would look like, the project structure. Okay, once you run it, so this is how the skill within your project this will look like. Okay, it is under that skill dot, how this file would be created will come back, but this is the directory structure would be created. Now so this is how hyphen p means, this is like, uh, this is multi directory, correct? So this is what it would continuously create that. So create the directory structure for the skill and its support issue. So it is just a directory structure we have created. Now create a deterministic validation script outside the main context window. Okay, again we'll discuss this in detail, okay, but just let me explain the script file first. So create a deterministic validation. This is all terminology we have to remember. Instead of making the LLM read this logic, the LLM will execute it via bash and save the tokens. So this is what LLM will execute this file instead of uh, reading this file, correct? So this is the file name. So what you are saying it here, create a file. So give me a minute, okay? So first of all, this is here, this, if you see cat end of file, correct, in this file, create in this directory, check vulnerability.sh file would be created. And what this sh file had this content in it, first line of this file would be this, second line would be, this is a simple echo statement like print statement we have in Python. Similarly here you can have a echo statement. We said audit system, this is an audit system scanning for outdated dependencies, exposed secrets, mocking the vulnerability scanner output. So the actual shell script would go here, your entire script would go inside this, but as you see here, this is just dummy steps are written here, but actual entire tools which you are calling sonar cube or twist lock, or you can say like another scanner like Qualys or whatever, correct? So that would be part of this script, okay? And dependency load assurance is an outdated, and this is dummy response found in hard coded JWT token. So this is an out, just a dummy vulnerabilities we are returning in your project, okay? So this is, but actually it should run some script or tool, correct, external tools or scripts, it should run it and give you the output, correct? So this is what the file would be created here. How this file would be created, as I shown you, this is the file would be, it is saying, this code is saying, first create this directory, inside this directory create a, under the script create check vulnerability.sh file. Okay, so this is the file would be created. Now this file has been created. Now moving to this, it is giving the execution rights. Ensure the script is executable. You must know the scripting, okay? What is, otherwise if you don't give this permission, this is giving the permission, you would not be, this script would not be executable, and Claude would not be able to execute that script, okay? Now another file, it is saying create the core skill.amd file. Okay, this is your markdown file, which is core skill file with the required front matter metadata. So anything which is in that between this line, correct? So now we are opening and creating a new file at this directory. Okay, so give me a minute. So this is an actually defines the actual Claude skill. Okay, so that is what the skill. This is the file Claude reads for the semantic matching. So this is what you, this is in this file you can create different skills. Okay, the skill which we want to create, which is, you must remember, this is what it has to be between these two. Okay, so you start with this and end with this. Okay, that is very important to understand this concept. So secure audit is the name. It is a description. It is very similar to the tools we you remember, which we our agentic loop we have created. Similarly, we have to give name. The description we have to give performs a read-only security audit on the code base. Use when asked to review the security, check vulnerabilities, or perform an audit on this. So which are the tools are allowed in that this skills can use which tools? Read tools it can use it, grab tool is you can use it, glob tool it can use it, and bash tool is can. Bash means execute script. It needs correct to execute a script. Read means to read a particular file. Grab means within file if you want to search for content, and this is paths you want to search it. So this is what the tools are allowed. None of this tool if you see is edit. Okay, so all are read only tools. And context fork, which will come back on this later, but this simply means run in a different context. Okay, not in the same context. You create a different context to run this skill. That is very important. We'll come back on detail. We'll discuss in very detail. Okay, so now everything below the dashes form the system prompt when the skill is semantically matched. So now after this, whatever is that, this becomes system prompt. Okay, so you are an expert DevSecOps reviewer. Follow this exact steps to audit the code base. What it is saying here, automated scan should be automated. Execute the automated vulnerability script to gather the baseline data. So it is saying use the bash tool, which is we said on top, this tool is allowed. Run this script file which was created, check vulnerability.sh. In that all your scanning related stuff should be written, how the code should be scanned and kind of thing. Critical, do not use read tool to open the script file itself, correct? Only execute it. That is very important, correct? I want to execute the script, I don't want to read this file by a Claude. So Claude will use bash command. Also this is internally agentic only, so this is one tool which is would be using. Manual verification, use grep and globe to search the code base for specific issues flagged by automated scan. Now you have done automated scanning, they flag it. So use grep as and glob. Grab is to content within file, and this is path specific. Search for the GW tokens in the author author directory. Synthesis. Now at the end you need to synthesize because you are running a fork context, means different context. Okay, this is your actual main thread. For the scanning you spawn new thread, okay, or new process you can say. This run it, and once the it is done, then it would get back that summary of this whatever scanning had happened, it would return you back. So this is the fork context containing only verified security flaws. Now format your final output as this. This is the formatting security audit result, where severity you have to mention high, medium, and low, and which file has which problem. So you have to provide that description of the verified issues, and at the end you are done with this. So you see the skill file is so small here, correct? So there this file is a bootstrap file. So what does it mean basically, correct? So let me go back and explain you again. So this is the file I was just trying to explain you. So this developer must restart the Claude code for the new skill to be indexed, correct? This is the new skills to be indexed when it would be created, correct? Because Claude I need to know what all skills are available. So let's go back to our PDF and understand more on this. Let me go back, give me a minute. So this bash script is not a Claude skill itself. So this entire code you see this, as I mentioned, this is not a skill. Okay, That is what you have to remember. It is a Bootstrap installer that creates a production ready code skill named secure audit. You know that this is what my skill name would be created with this name. This is would be created. Where it would be created, as you can see here, this is created here under the this is the skill name secure audit that would be created. So multiple skills you can create, correct, under this structure, and each skill would have their markdown script in that, as well as if any shell script you can write whatever logic in script you can write here as well, but this is not a right way approaching this thing, correct. So I want to execute and scan my project. That is why I would do this using shell script. I'll not put this here. See, this is just an instruction, okay, what it's supposed to do and kind of thing. And then once this is you developer your bootstrap.sh file, you would run it this sh file. This is entire shell script which would be executed, and this would create these two files, skills.md and check vulnerability.sh. Now you would need to restart your Claude code, so that Claude can index the skills or new skills have appear. I need to index this. Now when user as a command line or terminal or somewhere they type this instruction, please perform a security audit for my project, and then Claude uses semantic matching. Okay, that is, I'll come back on that again. Load the secure audit skill. Now it would load the security skills because it is asking security audit needs to be done. Execute this bash script, verify the finding with grep and globe, produce the final security report. So that is how the cycle would happen. So production design pattern demonstrated in this. What exactly this project level? So what is first thing you need to know, that this is a project level skills. Why this is project level skills? Because this stays in this directory .claude. This is the project level directory, and in that you create skills. So all project level directory, as I mentioned, every developer will get this. These skills created under .claude skills, meaning it belongs to the project. It can be committed to Git and shared with every developer, ensuring everyone uses the same auditing workflow. Progressive disclosure. What does mean it? Instead of embedding hundreds of lines of shell logic within skill.md file, as I mentioned, correct, we cannot put logic inside this file. This file would be very simple. The complex logic is moved into the shell script. Claude execute the script rather than reading it, dramatically reducing the context window usage. So now skill.md file would have what? If you see here, if I would not use with, so let me give you an example without progressive disclosure, how your uh, skill file would look like. This is skill.md file. You are a security auditor. You step one, run these 500 lines of command bash. It would run all this command on each file, and these are the 500 lines of code you would write in that. Then step two, you would analyze this, and step three, generate the output. So the skill files become so lengthy that it consumes the context window of the Claude, which is useless, correct, and uh, not a good idea, and it's an expensive as well. Now imagine the user ask in this case, please audit my project. Claude must first read all 500 lines before it can do anything. Think of Claude's context like RAM. Claude context would have user questions, 500 lines of bash scripts in that, 300 lines of instruction, project files, tool results, everything in this. These 500 lines consume part of available context window, even though Claude doesn't need that to understand every line of bash. It still has to read it because it is skill.md file. Because skill.md file would be indexed and read by Claude with progressive disclosure. Now we have, without progressive disclosure, this would happen. But if you say that instead, suppose skill.md file contains only this, execute this. That's all. That is it in that. So this is what, that is it. The actual script lives here, and which might contains, this is my script which you remember we have written in our code. If we go back in this code, we are saying the script file have this code. Actually it would be in real time, it would be bigger, much larger, but that is what the example, like this would have this command kind of thing, or tool specific command. 500 lines, all 500 lines goes into the check vulnerability.sh. This is a, you assume this is a different tool or something which would be used. Now what happens? Claude doesn't read those 500 lines. Instead, it simply execute using the bash tool. Check vulnerability.sh file. Okay, so this is what it does. What Claude actually sees. Suppose the script prints scanning. What it does is actually it the output of this bash script would be printed scanning, found JWT token, found outdated load disk, sh, and audit completed. Cloud only receives these 4 lines of output as part of this response, and then Cloud only receives this, and Claude never loads into this context, this all tools. Why does this save tokens? Imagine the script contains 500 lines. We discussed Claude never sees them. Instead of Claude only see the huge differences. 3 lines of output, it only sees that. Without progressive disclosure, Claude reads all this in 600 lines. And with progressive disclosure, it would read a lot. Now, real world analogy, if I need to understand what exactly this progressive disclosure means, imagine you are a company CEO. You ask your finance manager, how much profit did we make this quarter? So, first options, the accountant will give you the 50,000 invoices to 20,000 receipt, payroll, bank statement, tax records, and everything. You spend hours of reading this to derive your final profit of this quarter. Instead, option to the accountant runs accounting, which is you assume this is a separate sales script, and or it runs its own software. Then it's revenue, and then it comes with this is the revenue 25 crore, expenses 20 crore, profit is 5 crore. This is what. So you never saw all the invoices, the accounting software processes them exactly the same thing happen here. Claude is like the CEO. Claude says run check vulnerability.sh. The bash interpreter does all the work. Claude only receives the this is found JWT token in found outdated list. So Claude doesn't care how produce the result, whether grep, awk, find, SCD was used. Why not let Claude read the script? Because Claude is not the bash interpreter. This is not Claude job, correct? Claude is not a tool for to run the bash script and kind of thing, correct? It can run it, but it is not made for that. So this is the script which you have. Claude would spend tokens trying to understand the shell syntax first, but you don't need Claude to understand. You only need Claude to understand this output. That is what we are. What does disclosure mean? That word disclosure means is showing the information. That is why progressive disclosure. Show me only the information what is actually needed. Suppose if you are building an UI, you don't show every advanced setting on the first screen. You reveal them only when the user clicks an advanced. Similar to this, the same idea applies here. Instead of revealing 500 lines of shell code to Claude, you reveal only the result of the exiting data. So this is the definition which you can go and kind of thing. I'm not going to read this, but you can just read it, pause the video and read it. That is what you can answer in an interview kind of thing. Now, deterministic automation we discussed correct in our script if you remember. So this is what we have said somewhere. uh, this is deterministic validation. What does it means? Validation or automation. Security scanning is delegated to script rather than relying on LLM is not going to scan your code and give you the vulnerability. Let use the proper tools which are meant for that scanning, correct? This produce the consistent and repeatable result which are deterministic. What does deterministic means? You need we repeat this concept again and again, so you need to understand the deterministic process means given the same input, it always produce the same output below code given the same response always whatever way you run it. Add a plus b. Okay, so 10 plus 10 always give 20 as an output. And non-deterministic means suppose you ask Claude find security vulnerabilities in my project. Today Claude may answer, okay, I found 4 vulnerabilities. Tomorrow it may say I found 5 vulnerabilities. Next day it will say 3 vulnerabilities. So this is non-deterministic output, correct? And in any LLM you would see this is probabilistic output. Non-deterministic, it's probabilistic output LLM generally generates. So this is that is non-deterministic. So instead of asking Claude please scan my project for only, we will tell the Claude please run this script, and whatever the output this script give me, which is this script will run the actual scan, and this is output it would generate it. Okay, so I'll skip this. Okay, you can pause and you can read about line by line, correct? So whether you run on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because you are using this script on same code, deterministic output, always output will remain same. So now, so there are two approaches. One, let Claude scan it, my project, and let you scan using your tools, correct? Using a shell script or something. So this is the entire flow. Different results every time you'll get it. And if you use that script, you will always get the same result kind of thing. Now, real enterprise example. Suppose your company uses this tool, SonarQube, OWASP dependency checks, Trivy, and SameGraph. These are the tool you uses. These tools are deterministic. Always give the same result. If you run on your code, same code 10 times, it always gives the same result. If the code has not changed, the scan result is identical. Claude job is not to perform the scan. Claude job is to read the scanner output, explain, prioritize, and recommended the fix. Why automation? Using this tool, you can do the automation. Claude automatically execute the script and hence it is called automation. Again, the deterministic automation is the practice to delegating the objective repeatable tasks such as security scanning, dependency analysis, and code compilation to a specialized script or tools instead of asking LLM to perform this system. Okay, the external tool always follow the same algorithm and produce the consistent result for the same input. The LLMs will is then limited to interpreting, prioritizing, and explaining those results in a natural language. Let deterministic tool measure facts. Let the LLM explain the facts. That is what you can say. Now let's move to the semantic discovery. Semantic means what? It's a meaning. It's a meaningful. Okay, not syntactic. So the description field acts as a semantic trigger. So Claude compares the user request with this description and automatically activates the skills when appropriate. Semantic skill discovery means that okay, automatically correct. So let me give you an example. Claude reads the description fields in the skill while indexing in the this will skill.md file will be you can say index and compare it with the user's request. Suppose your skill contains this information: name, secure.audit, description, perform security audit, user use when asked to review the security, check vulnerabilities and perform the security audit. Now if you go back to our code here, if you see this one, mm, 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 this is my file, correct? This is what the name, this is the description, these are the tools which are allowed, and this is the we instruct automated scanning using these tools, and this is all entire things would be indexed by the tool. Now user one says please perform security audit. Claude activates this security audit skill. Now other user says, can you check my project for vulnerabilities? Again, semantically, Claude understand clearly this person is asking same thing. What is the description matches in the skill? It want to scan his project. So Claude will still activate secure audit. Now user 3, review my code for security issues. Again, this is the same thing, correct? If as a human you understand all three people are asking same thing. Similarly, LLM will also understand this and it would do the same thing. Notice that none of this user typed skill name. None of them, correct? But Claude understood that all three requests have the same meaning, semantic meaning, and selected the appropriate skill. Because Claude matches the meaning, semantics of the user's request rather than the exact words, it is not keyword matching. Instead of checking user type security audit. So Claude understands security audit, security review, check vulnerabilities, review securities. All of this express the same intent. So intent has to be uh, should be find out by Claude, and it would activate the same skills. Semantic skills only activated when user ask matches. That is what you have to remember. Semantic skills discovery is the process by which Claude automatically select the most appropriate skills by comparing the meaning of the user request with the skills in your folder, which we initially discussed, correct, or directory. You could have 10 different skills. Claude don't have to for every user request. Not all 10 skills needs to be uh, activated, correct? Only skills would be activated when it semantically matches. That is the important concept. Now let's move to the tool restrictions. Allow tool explicitly limits what Claude can do. Okay, in our script if you see here somewhere we mention which tool should be allowed. This is what you see here: read, grab, glob, and bash. This is what we need it. During the security audit, Claude may read it, search, and execute script, but cannot modify the source code. Okay, that is very important. What is tool restriction? Tool restriction meaning limiting which tools Claude is allowed to use while executing a particular skill. Instead of giving Claude access to every available tool, we explicitly specify only the tools that the skills needs. For example, which we in our code say it. What does it means? Read the files, search file using grep, find the files using glob, and execute bash script. I want to use the bash script, but Claude is not allowed to tools to be used: edit, write, delete, and rename of this file. Why is this important? Suppose the user asks perform security audit. A security audit should only inspect the project, not modify it. If Claude had access to editing tools, it might accidentally or unnecessarily change the files. By restricting the tools, we guarantee that the audit remains read only. Suppose the skills define. Okay, so this is same thing. I don't want to go on that. Let's move to the real world analogy. Think of a bank auditor. An auditor is allowed to what? read financial records, search transaction, and generate reports. But an auditor is not allowed to transfer money, modify account balances, delete transactions. Similarly, during security audit, Claude should observe and report, not modify your code base. Obviously, this is now Fable 5 is doing that, but it is again how do you want to use it. But in agentic AI, so this is an example, correct? Now LLM is becoming more smart. They can do code modification as well. But this is what you how you intend to use those tools that also matter. Why is this enterprise best practices? Restricting tools to provide safety, prevent accidental code changes, security limits what the AI can do. If your project has 100% automated testing available, then you should allow Claude to modify the code as well. Then you can test this. But it 100% coverage. Okay, that is very important. Predictability. The skill always behaves as intended. Compliance ensure read-only tasks remain read-only. This follows the principle of least privilege. Give an agent only the permission if needs to complete its task and no more. Tool restriction is the practice of explicitly limiting the tools an AI agent can use for a particular skill, ensuring it performs only the intended operation. In this example, Claude can read, search, execute script. Now let's move to the context isolation. This is very important concept. Context fork. If you remember from our code here, this is what it says here. Okay, what does it mean? Fork create an isolated reasoning branch where grab, glob, and bash operation occur only. The synthesized report is written to the main conversation. So if I go back to our PDF, sorry, our this one, as I mentioned, when this your code is executed in this Claude is running this. Now Claude found some skills based on a user input. It fork new branch to do this your vulnerability.sh file to be executed. Entire skill, these skills will be executed in a different branch, and whatever the output, synthesize the output would be given to this, and Claude only read the synthesized output and then finally suggest user, please you have so many high vulnerabilities, uh, 10 medium and 100 low vulnerability, something like that. It can give you an output. Okay, so this is how the fork means, as you remember, like from operating system also, new processes fork creates an isolated reasoning branch where grep, glob, bash script occur only the synthesized repository. Fork does not create another Claude model. That is, you remember this. This is not a new model creation. It creates another conversation context or reasoning workspace where Claude can work privately. Remember, for certification exam, it does not create a new model. And conceptually think why it needs a model. Let's understand it with an example without context fork. Suppose your project contains 20,000 of Java files. User asks, please perform security scan. Claude starts searching each file, this JWT get password API key, so then all these things you do and read 200 files and read another 500 files. If all this happen in your main conversation, this is what in this main conversation you would see the thousand of intermediate spread. Your chat would become something like unnecessary searching. This is all context window of this thread. This process main part would be filled, and you would the Claude will deviate from the actual purpose of this what needs to be done. But if I do in a fork, so that everything would move, not happens here, it would happen here. Okay, and only final 10 to 15 lines would be returned to the main Claude. So it context is of the main Claude would be maintained. So this is the example. If you see here, creates a forked context. So the same thing which I explained you, this is what here. You never see the messy exploration. You only receive the final output here. And why is this useful? Suppose Claude searches this. Okay, I'll not read it. This is what I've already explained. So what happens internally without fork and with fork? Without fork, this is all we have discussed. So again, this PDF would be shared, so you can go through this. So does the fork have memory? Inside the fork, Claude has its own temporary context. It remembers, correct? So that is what I was saying. This is a temporary context would be created. This is a temporary context would be created here, and this is the main context. Okay, so main context would not be touched. So this is what is important. You mention this. Once finished, only the summary comes back, the intermediate reasoning inside. A real example, suppose the bash tool outputs without fork. Okay, I'll leave it. Is it faster? you think like this is running separately, is it faster? Let's see the answer. What do you think? Would it be faster? Answer is not necessarily, because still this tool has to be run, correct? It has to wait this response to come back. So this anyway 5 minutes is take, so it would continue to take its 5 minutes. Fork, you think parallel thread? No, that is not what it means. It is primarily the context isolation mechanism rather than performance optimization. Why is it called isolation? Because the temporary exploration doesn't pollute your main conversation. Think main chat clean, only final answer would be shown instead of main chat thousand of. Okay, this is what. So now let's go to the real example. Suppose your company has 1 lakh files or 100,000 files. Claude may search thousands of files, execute dozens of bash commands, analyze hundreds of findings. All of that happens inside the fog. The developer only sees the final output. Security audit report 7 high and 3 low. So context fork instructs Claude to perform its exploration files such as batch execution and intermediate result in a separate isolation conversation context. This keeps the main conversation clear by running only the final synthesized result instead of every intermediate step. Context fork creates a separate working context where Claude can invoke tools such as grab, glop, and bash, analyze their results, and perform intermediate reasoning without getting the user's main conversation. Once the work is complete, only the final synthesized report is returned to the primary conversation. So this is the entire code is again explained line by line, which you can go through this. Why execute the script instead of reading it? The instruction intentionally tells Claude to execute check vulnerability to the instead of opening it with read tool. Execution returns only the scanner output, while reading would consume valuable context token by loading the script itself. This is the essence of the progressive disclosure pattern. Why allow tools matters? The allow tools section enforces security boundaries because only read, grab, glob, and bash are permitted. Claude cannot hallucinate and edit or write operation during a read-only audit. This provides a safeguard for production engineering workflows. Why context fork matters? Forked execution allows Claude to perform verbose searching and analysis in an isolated branch. Developers are not overwhelmed with every intermediate grab result or bash output. Only the final verified report is merged back into the prime. So I'm repeating the concept so you would remember. Okay. So expected audit workflow. So this is, I'll not read now. You can go through this. So this is your final. So thanks for watching, and I hope you like this session. The main thing which I also want to tell you from where I have taken this example. Correct. This example is coming from our book published on the quicktechie.com. Go to ebook sections. You can go to Anthropic and Claude. There both the version of book is available. One is in English, which you can read it if you are English speaking, comfortable in English side, or if you are Hindi speaking person, natively Hindi was having your education background, this would help you to the faster read about entire detail in Hindi, correct? So the concept, please go through this video as well, correct? This is very important which I'm explaining, because just reading a book is a good thing, but may save time, right? Or you can read book twice or thrice to clear your concept, correct? And these books are written before the actually Claude certified architect, but not necessarily you have to go for certificate. It's up to you basically. But the concept, which is our important part here, is which we want to explain, including code, as well as this entire training is available as a video course here as well. If you go in this and go through this training, which is in 3 different languages right now available, including Tamil, Hindi, English. So these are the languages we are going to support in future, so you can listen this trainings as well. So thanks for watching. I'm stopping now. I hope you like this session. At last, I want to say that our alumni, which is all people who subscribe this training and courses, correct? Which you see there are many people are doing this, and we have exam simulator if you're preparing for exam certification. So all 6 sample papers are provided here with 300 questions here. You click on this question paper, sometimes you see this error, so simply refresh this page, so it would load this page and you can give the answer, and if you reason, it would tell you the why this answer is wrong, right? This kind of information would be provided. Thanks for watching. I'm stopping now.